York's greatest newspaper staff today.
Oh, yes. No, I'm aware of that. No, it isn't anything important, but I don't want to let it slide by. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Mark, I've got some exclusive information, and I'm giving it to my favorite newspaper.
I'm busy.
You can't be too busy for this, kid. It's hard to believe. I tell you, it knocked me for a loop the first time I sat there in court and realized what was going on. But how do you figure a thing like this? How do you figure that a judge, sitting on a murder trial with a man's life in his hands, has flipped?
I told you I was busy. Dave, this Board of Estimate hearing.
Yeah.
Hennessy's on that?
Yeah, he's there, but he says it doesn't sound like much.
I know that look, that Kluge look. Whoever he is, you feel you get a rare one for your collection, huh?
He's something very special if you just turn around. Oh, I love you, Mr. Briggs.
Briggs? Larry Briggs?
Is there another? The world's greatest publicity hound. Briggsy! Hey, Briggsy, baby! Over here. A first. A Kluge first. Barracuda, full face.
Oh, a lot of clowns around here this morning. Say, you're Alexander, aren't you?
That's right.
I thought I saw you around the courthouse a few times. It's a pleasure.
Fascinating shot. The hand of Larry Briggs. A hand that has bribed and ruined a lot of good guys, including one guy from right here in this city room. Before you were here, there was a man who used to sit at that desk. Benson. Harvey Benson. This vulture. He wasn't content with buying witnesses and an occasional juror. No, he wanted to buy a guy right here on this paper. A guy who could make sure that every story with his name and address got special attention. Well, that makeup man, poor Harvey Benson, he was it. And Mark found out, and that was the end of Benson.
Tell Hennessy I want more than that.
Alexander, I know your stuff. You're a real reporter. A first-class reporter. I advise you to listen in on this and with an open mind. Mark, as a lawyer, I'm an officer of the court. And as an officer of the court, I'm making this charge. Judge Victor Llewellyn is unbalanced. His behavior to me and my client, not so much in the open courtroom, but in chambers where nobody can see it, is unbelievable. The distinguished Judge Llewellyn, the man who wins all the awards and makes the speeches, is out of his mind. What are you going to do?
You read what it says in the box in the bulletin every day. We pay for news tips. Here, take this to the cashier. She'll give you $5.
Alexander, you call a spade in your stories. Why don't you come down and watch the honorable judge in action?
I've seen the judge in action. I think he's terrific. I'll tell you something else. I take my assignments from the city editor.
People change, Alexander. Even judges. That's why we need newspapers, to help us keep up with the changes. With the flips. Anyway, glad to have met you. You and I have no fight with each other. Oh, Alexander. My broker just got me a couple of tickets for How to Succeed, and I can't use them.
Boy. Polly, here are a couple of tickets to a musical. You want them?
Gee, Mr. Alexander, How to Succeed. Wow. Are you sure you don't want them?
I'm sure.
Thanks.
Regards to Judge Llewellyn when you go see him later. Oh, yes, Nick, we have to check it out. Even when it comes from Briggs. That's our job. And I'll tell you something. There's nothing in this world that Mr. Briggs would like better than to catch us not doing our job.
Objection overruled.
But, Your Honor, prosecution is attempting to introduce facts, if they are facts, irrelevant and immaterial.
Mr. Briggs, I've had occasion before to remind you that I'm presiding in this court. Prosecutor may continue.
But, Your Honor, if prosecution is allowed to continue with this line of questioning...
And if you continue to interrupt at this rate, prosecution won't be able to question his witness at all. I repeat, objection overruled.
Exception.
Noted. Now, Mr. Briggs, with your permission, we'll continue.
Mrs. Dixon, you testified that you heard the defendant and his wife quarreling frequently.
Oh, lots of times. You know, there was hardly a day went by that Sam Mr. Glenhurst, didn't get drunk and abuse that poor girl.
Objection. Witness is stating a conclusion.
Mr. Briggs, I've had about all I can stand of your continual sniping at everything that's said in this court.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Continue, Mr. Bogardus.
By abuse, you are stating a situation with which you're familiar, of your own knowledge. I'll rephrase that. Please tell the jury exactly what you meant when you said abuse.
Well, any guy who gets looped on that rotgut that Sam was always slopping up and goes punching his wife around, I'd call that abuse. Now, wouldn't you?
I think we can safely say that's a fairly clear definition, Mrs. Dixon. Well, then, according to the behavior of the defendant, which you know of your own knowledge, would you say that he is capable of committing the crime of which he is accused?
Objection. Objection.
Would you repeat the prosecutor's last question? I'm afraid I didn't quite hear, Mr. Bogardus.
I think we may safely say that is a fairly clear definition, Mrs. Dixon. And according to the behavior on the part of the defendant, with which you are familiar of your own knowledge, would you say that the defendant is capable of committing the act of which he is accused?
Yes, yes.
Mr. Bogardus, you certainly know better than to ask a question like that. Objection sustained. Jury will disregard what they've just heard. Court stands adjourned until 1:30.
Office?
This is Judge Llewellyn. Dr. Salmonson, please.
How are you, Victor?
Oh, I feel terrible. These pills you gave me, I need some more.
Victor, I told you last week, I don't know what your trouble is, but you're on some kind of an emotional toboggan.
Don't you think I know that? Paul, I don't want to talk about it now. Please help me. Send me the pills.
I'll send you some, Victor, but this is the last time. Tranquilizers won't do the job. You've got to go to a psychiatrist.
When I can. Thanks, Paul.
I'll have a ham and cheese and rye and a glass of milk, please.
Yes, sir. Hi, Buck. How's the missus? Hey, Jonesy! Glad to see you. Hey, drop around the office when you get a chance. I got an angle on those seats I promised for Saturday night. I'll have a vodka martini over here. Well, you certainly found something to sink your teeth into this morning, didn't you, baby?
All I saw was a little bit of the trial, that's all.
That's all?
That's all. Just another murder trial. Just another typical Larry Briggs morning. Someone was killed, someone will go to prison, and no good will come of it for anyone except Larry Briggs, who probably got the defendant to sign away his house, his car, and the suit of clothes on his back as an advance payment on the fee.
Baby, you didn't notice those pills? The eminent Judge Victor Llewellyn popping pills in his mouth in court?
Maybe he had a headache.
And the way he kept shading the rulings in the favor of the prosecution? A smart, sharp young man like you, Alexander? You didn't catch the nuances of the eminent judge's behavior?
I'm not a lawyer, Briggs. I don't know about those things.
Alexander, I know what you're not. You're not a fake, Alexander. You're not a dealer in duplicity. I don't defend myself from you. You hate the way I think and the way I operate. But you don't have any idea of how tough life can be for a poor kid from a third-rate law school without any connections. Briggs. What a joke. It would take practically every letter in the alphabet to tell you my real name. And guys with names that long, they don't get into the big law firms, believe me, sweetie. You know who gets into the law firms? The Victor Llewellyns. The good school. The good family. The good everything. Anyway, baby, that's the way it is with me. And I know the way it is with you. I know you were bugged by what you saw this morning in court. I'll take that.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Don't worry, sweetie. If I ever try to buy you, it won't be for the price of a sandwich and a glass of milk.
Larry, will you have a minute later?
Sure thing, Harv. I'd offer you a drink, but I see you have one. Benson, you think you've seen this fellow around? Well, you probably have. In a sense, you guys are blood brothers or cousins or something. This is Nick Alexander of the Bulletin. Your old alma mater.
How do you do, Benson?
He works for me. He does fine, don't you, Harv?
Sure.
Everybody who works for me does fine. Lunch here every day. Believe me, Alexander, it's better than the Bulletin cafeteria.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
When you get a chance, Larry, I'll be waiting at the bar. I'll see you around, Alexander.
Briggs, you stink, you know that?
The world stinks.
Hello, Wally.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Your usual?
Yes, please.
Okay, reporter. There's your assignment.
Thank you.
Judge Llewellyn?
Yes?
Do you remember me, Nick Alexander, the Bulletin?
I don't think so.
Garrison?
Wally, what's the matter with you? You know I always have a twist of lemon peel.
Of course. We're very busy today, Your Honor. I'm terribly sorry.
I'm not interested in how busy you are. I'm busy. The world's busy. It's no excuse for not doing your job.
Of course not. I'll take care of it right away, Your Honor.
Wally. I'm sorry. Wally's been my waiter for 3 years. I didn't mean that exactly the way it sounded. Funny how a little thing will hit us sometimes.
Well, it happens to all of us, Your Honor.
No, please. Sit down. I'm afraid I've had a rather upsetting morning, which is no excuse for rudeness. Well, of course, I remember you now. You're the young man who spilt the chocolate ice cream on the governor's coat sleeve, right?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Nick Alexander, the bright young man of journalism, so I've heard.
Hearsay is not admissible evidence, sir.
Well, then I'll rephrase my testimony. I've personally read several of your features. All of them were excellent. 1 or 2 were outstanding. It's my guess you'll wind up a first-rate novelist. Who do you like? Hemingway?